welcome. This is Barry Jones from the Angel School, and we're here for our weekly angel reading for July 26th through August 1st, 2021. So, this is the last full week of the month of July, 7 months into the new year, that it's just gone by so quickly as we begin the 8th month of the year. And so let's sort of take a moment to really just take a deep breath and then release. And they just want us to take 3 more of a total of 4 deep breaths. And then 2 more. And just really think of your energy field and your chakras expanding. And one last breath. So before we begin, I'd just like to just bring your attention. You'll likely be seeing this video a few days earlier because I'm, as I mentioned, just going away for the weekend for 3 days, and I'll be back on probably by the end of on Sunday. However, I will probably not be doing the daily card messages for a few days into the beginning of the next week. If you'd like an angel reading with me, you can contact me at the angelschool.com/services page, and there you can sign up for my special offer for the month of July and possibly for the month of August as well. You can get my half-hour reading for $77 for 1 full hour, and you just select the half-hour reading as it's normally written there, and within 24 hours on the first business day, I will send you a confirmation email noting that special offer. There are no restrictions or limitations if you've had a reading before, so it's available as long as it's there, and just to offset things that are going on with the pandemic and finances and all of that. And this is a really good time. They're even writing right now, as many of you are thinking about professional, they wrote the word professional, so that you're thinking about your careers and directions that you want to take with this. So that this might be a good time for you if you're looking to make a transition of some sort, and these are things are writing to me. And I'm saying the word flexible as well. To be a little bit flexible in terms of your expectations, but this is also a good time to take a look at that. If you've been having had some considerations on your mind about making particular changes. All right, so they're just going to go right into it, aren't they? So I'm saying the word affordable. And one of the things before I started, they wrote the word ambassador, and then I saw a cross, and then it just turned into a dove, and the dove was flying off. So there is going to, I feel like, number one, let me just take it one, and this is going to seem like I'm rambling or not making any sense, but it's the way the consciousness flows that I have to flow with. So they're giving me a sense of this affordable piece that that what in the sense of this cross turning into a dove, that things are going to free up for you, starting in this week, starting in some way. I'm seeing the word responsible. Maybe there are responsibilities that you've been shouldering, or something that's been burdening you, that's been a really difficult cross to bear, and their peace is coming, is what I'm getting. I'm also seeing the word engagement. I don't know. My first thought is that there's an engagement where you have quite a responsibility, and that whatever you've been doing to prepare for this engagement, in terms of getting yourself ready, that, again, it's the cross to the dove, that weight is going to lighten up. All right. And this idea with the ambassadorship is that many of us now are really feeling the call. As we talked about in last week's video, the core self surfacing, the core self. This is the purest aspect of your divine potential and your personality within this lifetime. And all possibilities comes forth with the core self that is bringing forth this authentic truth. And this is why you might be feeling these bandwidths shifting in your professional lives, and where you're getting on a different bandwidth of consciousness. Your attitude, your desires, and your goals, ambitions are evolving, and you're now feeling the summons to take on the responsibility for your planetary service. You're getting messages about this deep, deep within the heart of your soul. It's right in the word marriage, and I feel like it's more of like a contract. That this is a contract with your higher self. This is the divine marriage. And this is why you were called here, and this is why you answered the call from Gaia to come to the planet at this time, for this lifetime, so that you could awaken fully as your true self and express those gifts. These gifts are like contributions to the future, in terms of the new golden age, where we're moving from that three-dimensional blueprint to the fifth dimensional one. And like a blueprint, the blueprint is within us. That is to say, the architecture, the plan for us and what we need to do, our piece of the plan is encoded within the core self. And now you're being called to enact it. And this is so that we shift from an era truly of suffering to one truly of unity, peace, harmony. This does not mean that the contrast goes away, but it's that we use it to help us to charter a future that is where there is cooperation at the center of everything that we do. And one of the things that came up in one of my readings, a client asked a question about source or whatever I tell them at the beginning, I can't remember now. But the idea of oneness is that it's the network of oneness is all hearts unified in love. The network of oneness is really where all hearts are one or unified, but through love, in love. And so the template is for us, our hearts are growing together, coming together to make one heart in love, so that we are really, the future is a community-based collaboration, where we recognize that we can truly uplift one another. To help, by helping ourselves, the way to help ourselves is to uplift everybody else, to bring us together, to not separate us, divide us into our own factions and parties, etc. Because this is ego. This is the blueprint of ego. And this divide has been widening, but through oneness, this focus of oneness. And so your purpose, well, through this focus of oneness, all hearts become one in love. And think about the internet, because that's what oneness really is. We're all connected. And that's why our technology is really revealing the soul technology, the what's behind the veil of illusion, that which we cannot see. It shows us how we are functioning naturally. And that the ego, that veil of illusion, has eclipsed this for us. And so we've forgotten our natural way of being. We tap into it, and when we see our best, when we see the best of humanity, we see good in this way. We see it as a community of hearts coming together as one in love. And it doesn't mean that we all have to be a similar expression. Love is infinite, it's multifaceted, and it's multidimensional. And no matter to what level that you perceive an event happening, at the core of that event that's driving it is love, even when it seems like an error. It's just a misinterpretation. But the core driving force is always working out the purpose of love. Even if in the three-dimensional construct, we were struggling to do that. And that is why the core self is emerging, because the core self has always been the advocate for love. And it is why when you get to the bottom of any situation, you will always find love, not fear, not anything else negative. Because what the ego is covering up always is the true desire in our hearts. And that is really love. Even when we misunderstand love, it's still love that we're wrestling with. We're wrestling with it in ourselves, and we judge ourselves. Not because we're wrong, but because we're not in alignment with the love mission. And sometimes we want to love in another way, or express our love and our gifts in another way when the mission is over here. And so you might be discovering that now in your own professional lives. All right, so let's take a look at the Archangel Oracle message for this week. All right, it's the Archangel Gabriel. And the card is titled Creative Writing. Now, Archangel Gabriel's name means the strength of God. She's also the Archangel of communication and the communicative arts. So any form of communication, right? Expressing truth here. And you may feel as though, now she's got this little wand here that's lit up, and I get this sense of creative license here. There's an opportunity for you not only to, literally, what am I trying to say? Excuse me. Not only to literally focus on, let's say, journaling. That's something that you might be able to process what's going on with you right now, but that you have this free license to really chart the course of your life. And you only have to be willing to accept, they're saying, the mission that you feel coming forth. And you don't have to struggle with what was. And you don't have to give up what is right now. In fact, continue with what you're doing right now. But maybe notice how you can do it in a way that's more effective with the future, that future mission that you feel, that call to bring hearts together in love. You might need to sit down and really communicate with your angels. And really in this week, maybe consider journaling about your feelings around what you're feeling as the core self is emerging, to help you to understand, to start to be able to articulate facets of that. There's a lot there, and it probably would shock us, out of our minds to really take it all in at once. But to begin to connect with your soul, to really journal, and not just for this particular mission. Don't try to force what you think should be, or ask, what should I be doing? Don't do that. Remember, we talked about that last week, because that creates the stuff, right? That then, we have to shovel out of our lives. So we don't want to be shoveling, all right? We want to be really just being present and really let yourself reflect on the things that you're doing in your life and the things that you see in the world that you're passionate about, and really ascertaining what of your gifts is lighting up within you to uplift some of the problems you see in the world. And it doesn't mean that you have to start big, that you have to go out and try to change an entire country. You can start right where you are in your life. You can start right with everyone that comes into your life, into your circle, and you can really change who you are. Change the way you engage them and situations. Raise the bar, raise your frequency. Choose a different paradigm model of behavior. Look at all the ways that you can free your own heart so that it can be more open to the love that is being revealed in the core self of everyone that you encounter. Because as you allow your heart to expand, you are opening up to all hearts in oneness. Okay. So as the message says here, make time to write down your thoughts in a journal, or pen an article or book. But I feel like it's about really making time to just be with your thoughts. Don't just let them be like running through your head. Really sit down with them and take that time to communicate with yourself, with your core self. And you can set the intention of connecting with your core self and listening to the thoughts and writing about them. And you can ask questions, but you can just generally write and write what inspires you, or what you discover, what new inspiration comes out of this conversation. Not looking for an answer, just looking to be in that space of oneness, where your heart becomes a part of oneness in love. All right, so let's take a look at the cards for this week and see what message we have for the beginning of the week. Okay, so this is the card of Temperance. Let me just see if we can get it a little focus over here. And what's really interesting here is that, of course, this is a card about balance. This is about, first of all, I get a sense of don't try to overdo anything. Don't make a big deal out of things, okay? The things you notice, the new information that comes to you, the messages that you're feeling or sensing very strongly. This is not like an abrupt, like, jump out of your skin kind of thing, or jump out of your life and just and blow it up and change everything, unless you really feel confident that that's going on, because that's the balance you need. But I really feel like they just don't want you to overreact, to know that this is a process that is happening smoothly, and it's happening in its own divine timing. You are feeling the sense of being ripe for the moment, and you are very keen to be present and to be your best. You want to do your best job, but your best job right now is to really be balanced in this. And I saw the word sleep, so making sure that the first order of business is really taking care of your physical body, which is like taking care of a device. Okay, so you do all kinds of things to take care of your devices so you don't break them and don't have to pay all these fines. Your body needs the same care, because it's the first device. It's the device that created those devices. It's the device where its brain, the CPU, the processor, created the devices you hold. And just like you think about the conditions that you wouldn't want to put that device in, is it waterproof and all those kind of things, or getting it, getting grease on it, or whatever. You need to do the same thing, and your body needs rest. And boy, I'm the biggest offender of this, but our bodies need rest. They need care. They need you to be mindful of where you're going, where you're put, the types of environments you're placing yourself in. Balance, balance, balance. Make sure that whatever activity or whatever event you attend, that everything is resonating with your body, that your body is not feeling overtaxed or undue stress or anxiety. So just really be aware of this kind of balance as a way to begin the transitions that your core self is going to be guiding you and calling you towards. Now let's take a look at the card for the middle of the week. And it's the Three of Cups. And this almost gives you a sense of really paying attention to our social circle, right? And needing some balance too. That we can't be, now they've been sort of talking about your this ambassadorship and service for the planet and your professional life and changes and stuff, but they're really also saying we need to think about the balance with all of that. We need to think about these things as well. So our social circles, perhaps there might be some changes that you see that are needed. Like in the same way that you need to take care of your body and make sure you're getting sleep, you may need to be really thinking about the people you're socializing with. And they want you to think about really focus on the people that you feel a strong alignment with. Because they are really, I get a sense that this is almost like a soul mate. These are like soulmates or your tribe, your soul tribe. And you really need to make sure that you make time for these important people in your life, because they and you together, you keep each other's vibration high. You support this higher bandwidth so that you can all be focused on your service, your soul's mission here. And so surrounding yourself with people who raise you up and raise your vibration, support it, is important. They just wrote the word excessive. You know, they don't want you to be excessive about anything, and they definitely don't want you to get into situations that are excessive. So you really shouldn't feel like the angels are putting you out, or if you're like, I remember last year I was doing all these meditations for the planet, it was starting to really weigh on my energy, and to the point that I thought I was becoming depressed, because I was just feeling everything. I never felt such a low. I mean, I've had some reasons to feel low, and it didn't even take me that low. And luckily, one of my friends from my spiritual tribe, my soul tribe, she tuned in and she was like, "You got to stop doing all of that." And I think I may have mentioned the Faraday cage with the mirrors around. And when I did it, it just stopped almost within minutes or less, actually. And I just began to feel normal again. So they don't want, we don't have to worry about the ascension process. That is pretty much well on its way. There's the critical mass point is on the side of our ascension process. So all we have to do now is really focus on the maintenance, our day-to-day maintenance, and really getting more balance in our lives, and making sure we're involving ourselves with the right people. You may have noticed in the last week a lot of relationship issues, people coming into your life, a lot of extra stress and drama. And this is because these cycles need to end. We need to cut these things out. But we have to make the decision by understanding that we need to set boundaries and that we need to balance, have more balance and alignment in our day-to-day interactions. All right, so let's take a look at the card. Whoa. So we got the Tower card. And, this is saying that there's some things that we that are just going to need to go kapoof, meaning there's some things that are going to need to really there's some things that we're going to really need to cut out of our lives, and that they may happen abruptly, they may happen unsuccessfully, meaning that they may not end as amicably as we would like, but they are necessary. But we need to let go. We need not fear the things that are let go, because that's opening up space. It's going to create this huge vacuum in which the universe and all the everything that you want, and it's at the I feel this sense of that's been bubbling up will just flow right into that new space, and it just needed a clearing out so that it could come in. So don't resist this, and then be aware of the potential of this just being these breakthroughs, these sort of I don't know if this is the right phrase, but it just feels like a crackerjack kind of, so like this lightning that just strikes and cracks everything open. And you might have a lot of sudden realizations, how that energy, because remember, this is energy. And it's not like lightning that we can actually see, but it strikes that way. When it strikes, you all of a sudden have this, total clarity. And then it changes your entire world. That's scary to your ego. If this card scares you, it's not you, your core self that's scared of that. For your core self is like, whew, thank God I get to get out of that costume. No, it's your ego that sees this, which is being blown away, as real. It sees it as it's your identity when it's not your identity. It's your ego's identity. It's an illusion. And your core self is exhilarated to be free of that role. And what this is going to do, they're writing the word executive. The core self is the executive self. And this is going to give you a sense of authority. It's going to allow you to claim your power. And this is one of the reasons why your life is going to shift. And they were talking about that affordability component. Because you're going to start to see things differently. It may not be that everything changes right away, but you're going to have a whole different perception of your world, which means you're going to see opportunities. It's like somebody just threw a whole bunch of bubbles and it says opportunity across it. And when you pop one, it's like, there's another one. Whereas with the ego mind, all you can see was all these bubbles of limitation. Every time you pop one, you felt defeated and you saw nothing. You saw stagnation. And it really is how the mind works. When it's under the control of the ego, this is what you get. And when it's under the control, the executive control of because your ego there's no such thing as an ego, that which is not real, being executive, because its power isn't real in the first place. So when your core self emerges, it brings forth, they're writing, possibilities. And that is going to be the dramatic shift of this Tower card for you. And this is what's going to make life, where you're going to have this feeling of things are affordable, because you're going to see affordable means I can move forward with this. I can do this. I can afford this. I can take the risk. I have the means. Doesn't necessarily mean physical means, but I have the means within me. I have the resources, the connections to allow me to, I have the ability, the capability to make progress towards this, to improve my life so that it becomes my new life pattern becomes one of progressiveness. And this changes the type of engagements you'll be invited to and that you'll be privileged to experience. All right, let's take a look at the card I've already pulled from the bottom of the deck. And this is Seven of Pentacles. And notice I chose these two heart crystals, which was given to me from a deck creator I bought a deck from. I can't remember which one. And so the Seven of Pentacles says, okay, everything happens in all good time, right? So just remember, everything will happen in its own good time. And so there's no reason for anybody to feel anxious, to beat up on themselves because things are not happening fast enough. Know that this is something that's happening under the hood. And your first responsibility is really to embrace it. You can't embrace it until you go through something that changes you. So don't be afraid of this Tower moment, however it unfolds. throw yourself in there. Be like, burn this away from me, just transmute, hallelujah, go have at me, transmute my stuff so I can let it go, right? And I'm seeing the word hook up, like hook me up, right? This is gonna hook you up, and they're writing the word supply. And the thing is, whatever this thing that's in your way, this structure, we idealize these kind of things, but boom, out of the way so I can see. Hook me up. And I forgot the word that came after that I saw. But the idea is that clear that thing out of the way so you can really put something better in its place. So that you can be ready to put that. The supply was the word I saw. Right. So this tower moment is the way to hook you up. Their words, that's what they wrote in front of me, with a whole new supply. The supply is whatever it is that you need is what you're going to be able to be supplied with, because you've gotten rid of this old structure that doesn't need to be there anymore. It's played out. It represents an old paradigm. And it's interesting how the tower is really I can't think about, but there's towers throughout the cards, mostly two, like in the moon card. There's several other places I can't think right now, but this is the only one. And it's standing like a phallic symbol, right? And it's like boom, get rid of that patriarchy, boom, away with that. But the thing is, what goes in its place? Balance. The divine feminine and masculine balance together. Because throughout the tarot, there are always two pillars or two towers. And there's a lot of symbology of balance. And that's really where we're headed. We've been through the society where it was the matriarch, and we've been stuck in the one of the patriarch. And now it's time for balance. It's no longer we together we stand, divided we fall, right? So let's let it happen. But this is going to take time, people. This is the message for all of us. It's going to take time, and you've got to be focused on, you got to be willing to invest for the long term. And this brings us back to the physical body. Start taking care of yourself and start this fifth dimensional paradigm, which is to take care of yourself first, and then start thinking about how to improve the quality of life for others by whatever your profession or your gifts are. Because that's how we build that fifth dimensional blueprint. The quality of life can never be great for any of us when some of us don't have it. It puts a stress on the upper and the low. It puts a stress on everybody. And when we decide, okay, I'm going to do what I do, but I'm going to do it this way now. I'm going to make sure that everybody is given an opportunity to have a wonderful quality of life, so that this brings true peace and harmony as we were meant to live it. Not where nothing goes wrong, but where we're willing to, where we are willing to acknowledge the imperfections and work together to create the potential perfection that we deserve and that we're capable of in each generation of our times. This is a very interesting reading, and it's probably the most important and significant ones I've done thus far, because I've been talking about this for ever since I've begun, and now I feel like for the first time we're standing right at the threshold of understanding of what it is that we all really need to manifest. We want so many things for ourselves. Well, that paradigm is kind of over, and it's a together thing. So it's not the exclusion of self, but it's the inclusion. And when we start thinking about this, then we're on our way. And it's one of those things where, I really want to do some live chats where we just all sit around fantasizing about this for ourselves and for the world. Because just even talking about it and fantasizing about it, we feel it. We're feeling it. That's what we're doing. We're just giving a conversation to what's inside of us, what the core self is bringing forth. And in doing so, because energy is just so much, it's vaster and it's so much more, and it may not be perceived physically, but it creates quickly. And then the bigger that the energy expands, the more of oneness. All of us are tied, every soul is tied into oneness. More of oneness will light up within the physical world, and then start accessing this library of fifth dimensional reality. The one that is each of our mission. Each of us has a facet of that mission to fulfill. And so this promised land idea, we create it together. And we can begin it by beginning to think about how we can improve the quality of life for everyone. Because once we do this, we end the ego's control over our perceptions, which is our key to unlock happiness. So if our perception is constantly being pulled upon, distracted by such enormous gaps of disparity, or gaps between wealth and poverty, etc. And all, as long as that exists, none of us can truly sustain happiness. And that's the priceless sacrifice worth giving up what we know right now and how we do it. It's worth it, because to be able to sustain happiness, sustain it doesn't mean it's always, but sustainable meaning that you have crossed that threshold of critical mass where you now live 60%, 70% happiness, versus within the ego is running things, it's 30, 20. The percentage declines while we're still stuck in this paradigm. But in the fifth dimensional paradigm, it increases. You've crossed the 50%. You have a greater critical mass of this, and now your ability to sustain happiness, to live experience, and this can only happen when we all do this together, when we all think and function as one heart in love. All right. So if you're curious, if you would like to do that, let me know. And I don't know. I'll put it to you like this. I don't know what I'm doing until I show up, but it would be really fun, and I think at least uplifting to our souls. But we all know what we have time for and what our priorities are. And so it may or may not be the time right now, but if I've just put it out there if you want to. All right. So I send you lots of love and angel blessings, and have a beautiful month. Enjoy the rest of it and the beginning of another.